All right, before we begin, let me just say a couple things. So, announcement number one, I promised to ask you, when would you like your future labs to be due? So your choice is either a Friday or a Sunday, or maybe another one. So show of hands, Friday. Show of hands, Sunday. Okay, I'm gonna throw it. Okay, should I give other options like a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday? Yes? No? No. Okay, no. Okay, so Sunday night it is. Good. Yeah, yeah. Okay, next thing I want to say is I edited the syllabus yet again. So before this was 20% here and 20% here, but then I realized the scheduling, I couldn't assign as many weekly labs. So that's why it's 18 there. Okay, that was announcement number 2. Announcement number 3. Last week I said don't pay attention in your Blackboard for the weighted total column because it's all fake information. Now it's all true. Okay, so the way I do my classes is whatever is in the weighted total column is your current grade as of now, but as you continue to do assignments and labs, it will increase over time. It will never decrease over time. Okay. Well, I know other professors, they like to do something different in Blackboard. I like to do a more accurate total. Show of hands, who thought that the last lab was challenging? Okay, I noticed that because not a lot of you handed it in. Probably half of you handed it in. We're gonna go over lab 1 and lab 2 today. Okay, so I'm gonna slow it down a little bit today, and hopefully not go as fast, or at least in my mind, I'm not going as fast, but we'll see. And I haven't marked lab 2 at all, so I still have yet to do that. I'm so busy. Okay, all right. So before I say anything, I want you to install Node. I know I mentioned this in the past week and the week before or whatever. Install Node if you haven't done it already. This time I promise we're going to touch it and use it for our purposes. So to do today, we're going to review the map method. I'm also going to review, I talked to some of you, and some of you are having trouble uploading to Azure or just even hosting your website. So I thought I'd review just the basics of how to upload your website to Azure, how to upload to, it's not called DreamHost anymore. They took down DreamHost in Georgian. That's now some kind of AWS thing. What do they call it? Is there a name for that now? Do you know? You have one, like one of those AWS.computer studies. Do you all have one? It's not DreamHost. What is it? What is it called? Yeah, but it's just the local one, right? It's not the real one out there. It's just the local one in Georgian. So I'll just call it AWS. And even I'll introduce a new one too called Now, which is by Zeit. Then we're going to talk about ESLint, Prettier, and Babel. ESLint, you need Node for ESLint. So that's why I'm asking you to install that now, so we save time. And also the final thing is the fetch command, right? So remember how I said when I told you to go to api.github.com and it gave you all the JSON data. I said back then that you can actually programmatically get that JSON data instead of just copying and pasting that data into your array. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay. So review of the following. So when I did mark your stuff, your lab 1s, I noticed there were some gaps of knowledge. So I'm just going to ask a couple of questions. When I go to any website, okay, so there we go. If I right-click the website and I choose View Page Source, I get this code. If I right-click the same website and choose Inspect, I get this source over here under Elements tab. What is the difference between View Source and the Inspect? Someone here? Anyone here? What do you think? Yeah. In View Source, you can only see the code, but you cannot edit it. But Yeah, yeah, that's a good practical definition. That's good. Keep in mind that whenever you go to any website like google.com, what you're really doing is you're asking one of their Google computers somewhere in the world, hey, can you give me the HTML file and JS files and CSS files of this website? And so that computer sends the HTML. So it's just your HTML and JS, and that's all one big string, okay? But once it comes into the browser itself, the browser parses that long string and turns it into node elements. And that's why when you inspect, right-click inspect, what you're really doing is you're inspecting a live document. And that's why DOM is called document object model. You're inspecting a live document, okay? So that's why the two don't match. If you were to compare the view source code versus the inspect, you'll say, oh, there's some difference. How did that change? How does that change? How come your inspect DOM is different from your view source code? Why? How does it change? Someone from this tip. Because you can manipulate it with JavaScript, okay? So JavaScript fundamentally, when it was born, it was really meant to live in the browser. It's like the browser is its operating system when it was first created. So whenever you're typing JavaScript, you're really manipulating those different HTML elements that have already been parsed. And that's why you can do things like text content or inner HTML, because those are live things that you can grab and manipulate. Okay. When I was marking your stuff, I noticed that some people tried to text content into an HTML element that encapsulates other HTML elements. So, for example, tachyons. Where are the lists? So, for example, let's get all of this code here. If someone were to grab this particular div, or maybe even the one below it, so they use document.querySelector to grab that element, grab that node. Then, oh, that's not a good example. Let's just pretend it was this one. Let's just pretend, just for the sake of argument, let's pretend it's this one. So notice this article tag encapsulates a whole bunch of div tags underneath it. And then I see in some assignments that people will say, you know, whatever variable they use to get this, they say, you know, article dot text content equals whatever. But not realizing that what you're really doing is when you say that, you're eliminating and deleting all of this HTML until the other article tag, and you're inserting a new word in there. So don't do that, right? If you're going to insert text, make sure you're targeting the right element. Like, for example, like here's some text right here, right? So that means you want to grab that one, right? You don't want to grab something else. What else do I want to say? I noticed a lot of the assignments did not, for lab 1, they did not attempt to use an add event listener for click, so that when you click on the email, the body shows on the right-hand side. And like half of the class didn't do that. And I don't know why, but maybe in my mind, it was because some of you think you can only add a click event to buttons, because that's how I showed you it in class, right? But that's not true. You can add a click event to any element you want, an H1 tag, paragraph tag. So keep that in mind. And dot map, I think we need to review the dot map again. And so what I promised to do is I'm going to review lab 1 and lab 2 right now. Okay? So let's do that. I'll take it slow today. So any questions or comments so far? Okay, so what did I say for lab 1? Okay. So here's lab one. So replace the image, right? Okay, so this dealt with the pure CSS template. So the whole goal of lab one is to grab the layout under pure CSS, the email one. So I'm going to use this. So I can download that. Let me see there. On the desktop for now. Let's just create a new folder called week3. Okay. Great. Download that. Wonderful. This time we're going to use Visual Studio Code. Let's just close everything here. Close folder, open folder, desktop, week3. Oh, I have to unzip it. Can I unzip from here or no? No, I guess not. Desktop, week3. Right click, extract all. I'm going to do my 7-zip. I like my 7-zips. Okay. All right, so here's my HTML. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, but the HTML template that Pure CSS provides, there's actually some JavaScript at the very bottom. You can delete that. So they provide these scripts here. You can just delete that. We don't need that. I don't think it affects anything, but take it away. So let us view this web page as it is so far. Away that and forget CodePen, forget that one. Let's go into my desktop, into week3. There's the HTML. Okay. So I said in the lab, let's delete everything except the one. And so let's just do that for now. So this requires some investigation of the HTML. So you are looking for a repetition of HTML of the different emails. So as you can see here, here's one email here, and here's the next email here. So I just want one. So I'm just going to delete maybe this one on down. Whoops. Oh my gosh, what did I just do? Okay. I think it's up to there. Is that right? Does that look good? I think so. Save. I saved it. I think I deleted everything except one. Good. Then the next step was, what did I say? Yeah, get your, what did I? Oh, right. Go to Makaru to get some data. And I'm just going to match it with my email. So I need a name, I need an avatar, I need a subject line, I need a body, and a date. So let's do that. I already have a name here. Email, I don't need that. I need a subject line. I'll use slogan for that. Give me a slogan. Call that subject. What else do I need? I need a body, so I'll use paragraphs for that. Paragraphs. Body, and a date. So I'll see if there's a date here. Yeah, great. Well, that date. Okay, and then I just need one record in JSON format, preview, and there it is. That's my data. I think, am I missing anything? Yes, I am. Avatar, right. Add field. Is there some kind of avatar here? Yes. Good. So we'll call that avatar. Great. So now if I preview, there's my JSON data. If I go, I just want to test this avatar just for curiosity's sake, just to see what picture I'm getting. Okay, great. A robot. Okay, so I'm going to grab this array of one object in it. I'm going to set up my JavaScript. Do I have a JavaScript linked already in here? No, I don't. So let's link that up. Best practices is to put the script tag at the bottom, close to the end of the body tag. By the way, who here knows, show of hands, who here knows that Visual Studio Code has emit by default? So if I could go like this. So if I say like this, if I say H1 tab, it fulfills the rest of the thing. If I say, let me just go down here for a second. If I say exclamation tab, it fulfills a skeleton of HTML. If I say script :source tab, I just have to paste in my, oops. maybe I'll say scripts. Okay, so let me create that right now. So let's create a folder called scripts. In that folder, let's create index.js, right? And for now, just to test it works, we'll say it works. Let's test that out. Let's go into, we don't need that anymore, I think, and refresh. By the way, a shortcut to get to the console real quick is Control-Shift-J on your keyboard. That goes to the console tab directly. And look, it works. What does that mean? It means my JavaScript file is working. It's connected to the index.html file. Show of hands, you get this. Okay, that's basic. Right. Okay, what else do I want to do? I wanted to use that data that I copied. Okay, so I said, let's create a variable, called it const profile equals, and I'll paste in the data I just received. Now, one of you asked, do I have to use the, can I take away the square brackets? Yeah, you can take away the square brackets if you want to keep it simple. We're just using one object. Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. I always forget to zoom every class. Thank you, thank you. Is that good? Okay. There we go. So what do I want to do now? So this is my question. What do I want to do? Answer, I want it so that if I click on the email, it'll display this data on the thing. Oh, wait, you know what? Even before that, what should I do? I should display the current data that I have in the email, right? That makes sense. How do I do that? So, okay, so this is where I'm going to take it really slow, and I'm going to pick on someone. So here is the avatar. I want it to change to my avatar. That's what I want to do. How am I going to do it? Who wants to volunteer for that? What's your name again? Say it again? Pretender, yes. Pretender, what do you think? So what I want to do is I want to change this image to my image. How do I do that? Yeah. Yes. Now, more specifically, okay, let me ask you this. How do I get this particular one? Okay, so let's inspect that, right? Here's the image. There's no ID, there's no class. But we'll, for now, this is a very simple exercise. We'll just use the image tag. Okay, my question is, how do I grab that? What one line of JavaScript code that I assign to some variable to grab that? Okay, I'll help you out. So let's say const, I'll make this really explicit, image node element, okay? That's what we're dealing with. So what do I say? And inside, what do I say? Right. All right, let's prove to ourselves that we got it. Okay, so let's refresh console, and look, we got it. See, it works, and there it is. So we can manipulate it, right? So how do I manipulate? Right, so image node element dot source. I could say that image equals what? How do I assign it mine? Profile's good, profile dot avatar. If that works, save. What did I just do? Why did it save? There, it works. Great. Okay, I want to assign, instead of Tilo Mitra, I want my name, my first and last name there. Okay, so what could I do? So I could do the same kind of thing. Const, I'll call it name element equals, and let's see, let's inspect. So inspect, right click Tilo Mitra, inspect. What is it? It's an H5 of the class email name. I could use the class name, right? Email name. I'm confident that no other element has an email name as a class, so I could probably target that, right? I could say document.query selector. what I put in here, Pretender? Yeah, dot email. Yeah, what is it? Is it email name? Save, and then name element. What? So I want to combine these two things. How do I combine these two things using the new string way, the new template literal way? What's the first character I type? No. Some of you did this. Some of you in your quizzes and your labs, you actually used a single quote while using the dollar template syntax. But it won't work because you're missing one thing. What's the first character? What's the rule number one when using template literals? What character am I? It's not the single quote. What is it? Someone here. Backtick. The backtick is located to the left of the number one on your keyboard. Okay. So this using the backtick will make your template literal stuff work. What won't work is if you put instead of backticks single quotes or double quotes. That will not work. You understand? Okay. Good. So how do I access the first name? Pretender, go. Then put a space there, and then okay, let's see if that works. Say refresh. Let's see if Tilo Mitra. Yes. Good. Okay. And then we just do the same thing for the other ones. Just as a let's just do let's do the same thing for the other ones real quick. So const what's next? Subject line, subject equals document.query selector. What are we targeting here? Email subject, thank you. All right, email subject. Remember to put the dot for class names if you're using query selector. Subject.text content equals what? What's the first character? No, what's the first character? Backtick, yes. Okay, now what do I put? Profile dot what? Subject, right? Okay, let's refresh. Nice. Now same thing for the body. Let's do that again. Const body, this document.query selector. And what are we going to do here? We'll say email description. Oops, what am I forgetting? Then body.text content equals, what's the first character? Profile.body, right? Okay, so that's the first half of the lab one. The more challenging part, which some of you, half of you did not do, is make it so that when you click on the email, something happens over here. How do you do that? So this is where I'm going to pick on someone else now. Who wants to try to answer? Who wants to volunteer for this one? Ahmed? Harman. Yes. Do you want to try? You want to try? You can say no. You can say pass. You don't want, if you're shy. No? Yes? No? Okay. All right. I won't force you if you're shy. How about Jaden? Jaden. All right. So I want it so that if I click on this email right here, something will happen. So what I want to do first is I just want to make the click functional, and I want to know that it works in the console. How do I do that? Yeah, so if I inspect this email, right, what, in particular, what tag am I looking for? If I want to click anywhere in this email, what tag should I look for? LI? I don't see an LI here. But notice when I use Chrome's development tools, and every time I hover over an element here, notice what it's doing. It's hovering over the real web page, telling me what it's encapsulating. So right now, for example, if I hover over this H5, and if I add an event clicker, add event listener click to that, it's only going to affect that Sebastian heading, right? So if I click on Sebastian heading, then my click will work. But if I click anywhere outside that, my click will not work, even though I'm clicking the email. So I need to target a specific HTML element that captures the whole email. So which one do you think it'll be? Do you think it'll be this one? No. This one? No. This one? Almost, right? This one, as you can see in the blue, it's almost there, right? I want it anywhere in the email. So let's keep on going up in the hierarchy, up. Oh, there we go, right? Perhaps, yes. What's one higher than that? Oh, everything. We don't want that. We just want this one. There. We are now confident that's the one we want to target. Does that make sense? Okay. So what I want to do is I want to target that and add a click event. How do I do it? Jaden. Yeah. Okay. Variable name, we'll say const. We'll just say email for now. Okay. Dot add event listener. Yeah, I got to get it first. I can't add an event listener to something that doesn't exist yet. So document dot query selector. And what are we looking for? What do you want to target? Email items. Looks good to me. Email item. Okay, what's the next line of code? Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? We'll figure out the rest later. But here's this basic syntax. Let's just test ourselves that you click the button. Okay, so we just set it up so that if we click anywhere in this email, it will run console log you click the button. Let's test that out. Let's see if that works. Will this work? Let's see. Console, click, you click button. Everyone gets that? Okay. So it shouldn't be too hard to figure out how to make the right-hand side show the email now. So let me go back to another person. So who wants to volunteer now? Yeah, back to pretender. All right, pretend. How do I? So what I want to do is when I click on this, everything here changes accordingly. How do I do that? How do you want to do that? There's a couple ways to do that. Yes, under the click function, yes. Write all the document.query selector stuff and then target that and then just change the text content or inner HTML, right? Yes. So just for the sake of time, I'm just going to change this heading. Everything else is similar. All right. So I'll just change this one to this subject line. So when I click on this subject line will appear here, and you should get the rest, right? Because everything else is similar. So let's do that. So const, we'll call it main body, I don't know, main subject. Okay, equals. How do you want to target that? You can say right-click inspect that. So this is with a email content title. Okay, so document.query selector email content title, right? And I could say main subject dot text content equals what? What was that? Backticks, okay. And then what do I put in here? Profile dot subject. Test it out. Refresh. I'm going to click here. If this works, then this should change to this. Here we go. Click. Haha. Does that make sense? That's how you do lab 1. The rest of the body, the name, the date should be similar, and you should get it, right? That's how you do lab 1. Does that make sense? Any questions on lab 1? Before I move on, I'm going to show you a couple of ideas based on what I marked. I'm going to show Josh's example of his beautiful idea of using objects. Let me see. Let me just hide something first. Grade center needs grading. Where is that one? Right. Okay, so what did he do here? I'm going to copy this into, I'm going to copy his JavaScript code into a simple so this is Joshua's work, and notice what he did here. He actually created an object called overview, and inside that, he said for each key, like self, image, author, he actually put the document query selector as the value of each key. And the beauty of that is at the bottom, all he has to do is say something like this, overview.author.inner.text or email.title.inner.text. I thought that was beautiful, Josh. Did you learn that at the co-op? Or just, okay, that's great. So that was one idea. Another idea is, if you, from a performance perspective, maybe you don't want to have the browser be mentally as tasked by grabbing all these different elements, and maybe you just want to replace the whole thing. So maybe you want to inspect the whole thing here. Maybe you want to say, okay, there. So email content. If I just target email content, notice it targets everything on the right-hand side here, and maybe I could replace it that way. It's just another thought. So yeah, so that's lab 1. Any questions on that before we move on to lab 2? What I'm going to do for lab 2 is I'm going to save that for the in-class exercise today. Okay, so I'll save that. So before I get to that, let me review this map, because you're going to do the quiz in a few minutes. So let's review it again. Okay. Look at a simple example. Oh, wait, that's the wrong map. I'm looking at the wrong map. I want the array map, not the other map. Okay. Question number 1. Can I use a map on an object? What do you think? Oh, okay. Can I use a map on an object? Yes. As if the object is an array. So you can only use map on an array. And in JavaScript, arrays happen to be objects as well. Okay. So here's an example of an array. So the only time I can call map is on an array. Okay. So if my array is named array1, I can only say array1.map. Okay, you just can't call .map on anything you like. You need an array. That's rule number 1. Let me go back to our, remember our chapters exercise? We're looking for a book, or changing all these ones here. Okay. What? Okay, let me see if I can phrase this. The reason I use map is because I have an array of node elements. So remember how I said document.querySelector all, and I got all of these node elements? Remember that? So in the end, what I really have is an array of different node elements in that array, right? We'll call that array nav, okay? So if I want to map over that array, what's the first thing I type? Anyway, yeah, Joel. Yeah, that too. Yes, very good. So remember when, okay, let's do this again. If I inspect this, if I inspect it, I'm looking at, what was it again? I don't know if I forget what I used. I think I used data menu ID is what I used, right? Is that what I used? So let's clear this out, Control L. So if I say, I'll just use it let for now to change it. If I say let nav equals document.query selector all, this will give me what? An array or something else? Oh yeah, yes, yeah, thank you. So if I say this, document.query selector all, and I say, oh shoot, what was it again? Data menu ID, thank you. What will this return? Was it an array or something else? Yes, it will return a node list. Watch. So I say enter. I say console.log nav, or since I'm already in the console log, I'll just say nav. It gives a node list. Question, can I use a map on a node list? No, I can only use an array on a node list. So how do I turn a node list into an array? Joel. Yes. Yeah, so that is one way. You could say dot, dot, dot. That is what's that called? Spread operator, okay? Now, because I already previously declared let before, I'll just reassign it, and I'll put the square brackets here, okay? Enter. Now it's an array. Oh, I don't think I got anything, but that's okay. But that's correct. That's the right answer. Okay. And so then we can map over that, and then once we map over that, we can do whatever we want. So I could say nav.map, and then inside here I could say, you know, current element. I'll just say make it real. Current node element. Use an error function if you want, and then console log, or do something with that. Something with that, because now you can deal with each individual one, right? So that is what I just basically wanted to say about map. Was there any questions about map before we get into the quiz? Quiz time. Go into weekly learning. Go into week 2. After you're done the quiz, there'll be a 10-minute break. Okay. Make available quiz 2. Currently it's hidden. There. It now should be exposed. So you got 20 minutes starting now to do the quiz. And after you're done, 10-minute break. Okay. I'll close the doors. Just as a reminder, no talking during the quiz, eh? You should have 1 minute left. All right, you got your 10-minute break. So 10-minute break starts now. Come back at 12:10. Yeah. How's it going, Josh? How's it going? Pretty good. How's your week that was?
What's that?
How's your week that was?
Oh, it was good. I had a party. I have like a party every year. Funk party. So
Is this related to tablets?
no, just like I just do it every year. Fun.
Okay.
And
Is it like coding related or?
no, like I mean like a party get together,
oh,
you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. My costume was pretty funky. So yeah.
Oh, I see. When you say funk. Okay, got it. Then for some reason, mine is still programming, so I'm thinking functions.
Oh.
so I'm coding.
Hey baby,
Yeah,
you're a
yeah,
reciprocating
yeah.
function.
So, yeah. Oh, okay.
So I was taking I submitted the wrong.
So you submitted the wrong one? Okay, just email me the right thing, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Your email is there?
Yeah, just email me or resubmit it in Blackboard. Either one. Either email me directly.
We can resubmit
I think you can submit it, yeah. Okay.
What's your email?
If not, just email.
What's your email?
That's fine.
Right. So in that lab too, I actually liked it a lot. It was really challenging.
Yeah.
But like it was good for me at least.
Did you end up using either the audio Wi-Fi?
Oh yeah,
Did you
I
use
used both of
the
them.
generator?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So the one thing though that I thought was really cool
Yeah.
was I didn't even mean to do this. I just
Yeah.
kind of did it by accident.
Yeah.
Because I actually ended up making like a factory function that
Okay.
you pass in a hero to your const template and like push out a template that has all the hero built into it.
Ah, I'll have to
It
check
was
that out.
really cool. I was
Yeah.
like, I did that. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's so awesome. Like, generator function was cool too.
Yeah,
I
I've
noticed-
never seen that before. The first time I saw that generator, I was like, what? I've
Yeah, no,
never
it's
seen
really,
anything like
it's
that.
really cool.
Yeah.
The one thing was, I noticed like I had this error that I've never run into, which is like super surprising to me because I've been doing stuff like this since I started doing JavaScript, which was I had this button on the top of the page. I was like, I had my main element, button, then articles, right? And what happened was I assigned my event listener to the button, then I pushed 3 articles into the main element using .inner.html, but I was appending it. And what happened was the click event listener is still bound to this variable, right? And I was like, I'm clicking the button, I'm like, it's not working. I targeted in the console, it shows the button. I do in the console button dot click, it works. I'm like,
Yeah, but
what's going on
Yeah,
for like an
yeah.
hour? I'm like, what is happening?
And it took me 25 minutes. And
Yeah.
I realized, I told the okay, yeah. So what's happening is when you say HTML and you're punching inside the thing, that binding in that JavaScript code, the out of that listener is gone. Because it's like you replace
the whole
document
document object model refreshes basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happened to me. Like I hit my head off the wall for an hour trying to figure it out. Like, I showed my buddy at work. I'm like, dude, what is happening here? He's just like, oh yeah, it's inner HTML screwed it up. I'm like, of course it is. So, but yeah, I ended up finding like, so I had to find a different way to do it. So I
Either put the button outside of what your iteration on, or run the JavaScript again.
Well, actually, what I found works is you can use .json HTML. Yeah, if you look that up, it's really cool because
I've never heard of that.
it doesn't affect. It actually just adds it into the document object. So I think it's called. That's the property. JSON HTML, not JSON.
Like this?
Oh no, let's see.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, right here.
Yes.
Insert a JSON HTML. Yes. So this actually takes a string, parses it as HTML, and it doesn't refresh the whole DOM. So you can keep your old event listeners and add stuff in the same. Basically, inner HTML, but better.
Yeah. Very good. I'll mention that. Awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. You have a question?
Actually, I just messaged you on the email.
Okay, Rebecca. Okay.
Yes, I just messaged you that my computer was having some problem.
Okay.
I just saw your message yesterday.
Okay.
Just check you actually. You can just get the answers to you. Actually, make sure that you can post your answers. You can send me the answers.
Yeah, you can send me the answers if all else fails. That's
I
fine.
know I'm having the answers actually. I just actually the second account I just copy and paste the answers which I have typed out to my notepad so that it does not
Okay.
so that is why you can just send it to you now.
Yeah, sure. Send me whatever you got, and then I'll take a look at it. Okay? Just in your email, just explain your situation, because I'm going to forget.
No, I'm just rewriting that email only.
Oh, okay. Okay, what did I send you? See, I forget. What did I send you? I'm trying to think of all the stuff before Yeah. I mean, just is that what you're asking? Okay. Hey, Jay, what's up?
So, kind of confused about that.
Okay.
Like, why would I want to?
So the reason that we use it is because you want to do something with each of the elements in the node list. I suppose you don't have to use that map if you want to use a dot before each or some other looping process or mechanism. You could, but the reason I'm pushing that map is because map, filter, reduce, those are the big three array methods now for JavaScript, and that's what's used most of the time for dominant manipulation. Yeah.
So,
Which part of the map are you going to use that?
well, like, because it copies the array, right?
It takes the array and it iterates over each element of the array. And as it hops over each element of the array, you can do something with that. Okay. So it's sort of like, have you ever done for loops, just regular
Yeah.
for loops? So think of it like that, right? So, when you did for loops, you probably had some index, right? Index equals 0, as long as it's less than the length and I plus plus. So you did that kind of thing. So then why did you use a for loop in the first place? Because you probably want to iterate over an array and do something. That's what that is. Just think of it as a for loop. That's how I think of it. But it's better than a for loop.
Yeah. I mean,
Does that make sense? Okay. The other answer to your question is use map because because ultimately we want to inner HTML something. But in order to use inner HTML, you need to have a string. And one way to get that string is using a map over each element and then outputting a string. And then, so now you have an array of, not node elements, but an array of strings of HTML markup. And then you just join all of the array of elements into one by saying .join. And so that's a one big string. And then you inner HTML that big string. And now you have a new web page. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have any more questions, let me know.
You mentioned any email?
You don't have to. I'll know. Yeah.
Just link.
Yeah. If you email me, I can tell by your name who you are. So I don't need your student ID. Okay. 10 minutes is up. Couple of announcements, quick announcements. What did I want to say? I wanted to say, yeah, for the quizzes, I will check over all of your answers for the quizzes because sometimes I'm wrong, right? Because when I'm programming Blackboard for the fill in the blanks, maybe I forgot a use case. So I'll go over all of yours just to make sure you get the mark if you're right. One thing I noticed, however, in marking quizzes, like one little error, like if you mistype something, then it's wrong, which is right because JavaScript is very strict like that, right? Thanks, Raquel. So for example, there was one guy who had the right answer for the last quiz, but then he put a semicolon at the very end of the HTML markup, which is wrong. You don't want to see a semicolon in your markup, right? So just little things like that. Just pay attention. Another thing I wanted to mention that Josh brought up. I don't know if for those of you who attempted Lab 2, you may have come across a use case where the button didn't really work and you weren't sure why. And that's probably because your button was probably inside the encapsulated markup. So that when you said inner HTML of that markup, you're actually replacing the button and you lose the binding that you had when you said add event listener click. And what Josh brought up is instead of inner HTML, you could possibly use insert adjacent HTML. And that is a good one to use because it doesn't lose that binding, right? So you can try that out for your future assignments. Okay, I did promise to really just quickly go over uploading to GitHub, connecting to Azure, or uploading to your local AWS, or something new called Now. So this is going to be old news for some of you, but for some of you who had trouble uploading to GitHub and all that, let me just quickly go through that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to do reverse order. I'm going to do the new one first. So if you Google this, Zeit now, I discovered this last semester. It's really cool. It's a company called Zeit. And this is their app. And all you have to say in the command line is now, and you're done. You get a new URL, and your Node app is working, or your static HTML page is working. whatever, it'll take everything and it'll work, which is kind of neat. So let me show you that real quick. So to install it, you need Node. So here under Get Started, let's see here. Oh, this is down. Oh no, you know what I did? You know what I did? I actually used the npm. What is it? npm now by Zeit. I didn't do this one. I did something else. This one. This one. I think it was this one. Yeah, I did this npm install -g now. So now we're getting into command line stuff. So in order to even write this, you need Node installed. So let's just do a brief test. To test if you have Node, if you open up your command prompt and type in node space -v, enter, you should have some version number. Show of hands, who has Node installed on your computer? Woohoo! Show of hands, who does not have Node installed on their computer? Okay, make sure you install that. So you could actually copy or just retype this, and you can say npm install -g for global now, and what that'll do is install this neat little app. And so the very first time you use now, it's going to ask you for your email. Just give it your email, and it'll never ask you again. And then the really cool thing is this. So let me go into my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so here's the web page we were just working on, right? Let me get the terminal open. By the way, in Visual Studio Code, one way to get to the terminal is you can say Control backtick, and you get the terminal right away. You may have noticed that I'm actually using Bash as my command shell instead of the DOS prompt. The reason I got that is because I installed Git or GitHub. Because when you install GitHub Desktop, you get Git as well, and that's why I'm using Bash, which comes from Git. So I'm in my folder of week 3, right? So here's my folder, and here's what we were just coding on the first part of the class. And check this out. I just have to say now, enter, and it does its thing. Say yes, done. Deployment complete. Here's your new URL to see it. Let's check it out. Control click, there. This is now on a domain as fast as you just saw it. You don't have to worry about managing it. It just does it automatically. Then if I click it, right, if I click the email, it works, right? Because that's what we just coded. So that's a very, very quick and simple way of deploying your thing. I don't care where you deploy it from. You could do now, you could do Azure, you could do AWS, it doesn't matter, okay? Let me do the AWS one. So all of you have an AWS account, which kind of looks like aws.computerstudies.whatever, right? So the quick and easy way to upload is using FileZilla, right? You open up your FileZilla. I happen to have already saved it under Site Manager, my credentials. There you go. OK. And then what you're going to see here is under on the right-hand side, you'll see a public HTML folder. You double-click on that, and now anything in here is viewable on the web, right? So I can create a new folder or what? So if I create a new folder, new directory, I'll call it whatever, testing, whatever. So now I have a new folder called testing. So in my web, if I go to my AWS blah, 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 /testing, I don't see anything yet because I didn't put anything there, right? But if I put an index.html file, so let me just copy this one right here, copy, and put it in my testing folder. So now I have an index.html. Oh, what happened there? Didn't work. Copy. Oh, you know what? I'll just move it. Can I move it? Move. There. So now, refresh there. That's my timer page. That's my index, right? So that's your second option. Let me move that back because I don't want that there. And the third option is Azure. So all of you have an Azure account. So if I go to my Azure portal, right? What is this? Okay. Oh, no, I don't want that. I go to create a resource. Actually, I'm curious. What did Scott McCrindle do for you guys for Azure? How did you do it? You went to web app? Okay. Okay. Now, did you use GitHub in connection with this? Like, did Azure look at your GitHub to get the yes for you, but no for you? Oh, okay. No, okay. So you could use FileZilla. That's the old way. So the old way is FTP way. The new way is the continuous integration or continuous deployment way. So what happens is this. Let me save my code onto GitHub. So now this is for all of you who have trouble with GitHub and uploading to Azure. Here is the process. So you go into github.com, you create a new repository, you type it whatever, okay? Create repository. Now it's saying, okay, now you have to do all of this stuff. So I'm going to go now into my terminal and prompt here, and I'm going to type this first line here called git init. I'll forget about the echo for now. Let's git init. What that does is it initializes your Git repository. I'm going to forget. Now, instead of git add readme, I'm going to say git add everything, and I'll just say dot for everything or everything in the current. It does that. So now it adds it. Next thing is I have to commit it. So I'd say git commit. Let's commit. So now it's this. Everything is committed on my local computer. It's still not on GitHub yet until I do these two commands. So I'll copy this one here, git remote add origin, paste that. There it is. So now it knows the web URL that it's going to send it to, and then git push that will actually send my code over the internet into GitHub's website. And so now GitHub now has it. So now here, if I refresh, you should see the code. There's my code. Okay, there's the index.html code that we just downloaded. There's the scripts folder that I created earlier on, and there's the index.js, right? So it's up there. Now, for especially those in Scott's class, what you want to do is within Azure, you want to use GitHub. You don't want to do the FTP way. So I'm just going to create a name here, testing AV123, I don't know. And then I'll choose Linux. I like the Linux one instead of the Windows. Yes. Zoom in. Let me see. Zoom. Yes. So I just put in some name that isn't already taken. And so this will be my website, right? Testing av123.azurewebsites.net. Okay. I chose Linux, and I think that's all I really care about. Let's just create. What happens? Creating it. Okay. So I can't. I'm just gonna zoom out for a second because I don't know where I am when it's like that. Okay. So I think I think it's still working up here. See, there's an alert up here. So deployment is in progress. Now, the thing about Azure is it takes some time to deploy and initialize everything. So you just have to wait like 5 minutes maybe. Okay, so now its deployment has succeeded. Go to resource. Okay, so I'm going to go to resource. And here's the cool thing about the GitHub connection that I was mentioning. Somewhere on here, which is, I believe, this one. Is it this one? Deployment options. So when you click on deployment options, you can actually configure it to read any repository you have in GitHub. So here's the big idea. No longer do you have to FTP your web files into a server. Now, the more modern way to do it is to upload your files to GitHub and configure Azure to read your GitHub automatically every time you update GitHub. So here's how you do it. You say GitHub. Okay, yes. Okay, this one's required. Choose a project. Okay, so here it's reading all of my projects on GitHub. Here's the testing folder. So that's the one I want because that's the one I just uploaded. Master branch, yes, and then okay. I think it's going to set up. And once this is done, I should be able to go to testing av123.azurewebsites.net, and you should see the thing. That is essentially the new way of uploading your website. There you go, successfully deployed. Let's check it out. Let's go to overview, and I think the URL is right here. Click. Is it there? Woohoo! No, not yet. Sometimes you have to wait a bit, but over time it'll be there. Right? Yeah. Randall. Yeah. Are you talking about GitHub Pages?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it in GitHub Pages. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So if your lab says you
Yeah, my labs always say Azure or other. So I don't care where you deploy it, right? Question, Jaden. Multiple projects on one website? That's a good question. Yeah, you should be able to, as long as you have different folders. Yeah. Let's see if it works now, because sometimes it takes time. No, not yet. Am I missing something? Probably takes time. Sometimes it takes time, but that's essentially it. Okay. So any questions on that before we move on to the next topic? Yeah, Sebastian is Linux-based. PowerShell is like Microsoft. I think of PowerShell as sort of like DOS on steroids. I've never actually used it, but that's my impression. Yeah. You'll probably notice when you go find work, perhaps I know one student said to me, "Yeah, my employer keeps on asking if I know Linux commands on the terminal, how to use the terminal line," and that's important. A lot of times you need to know Linux commands in the terminal. Joel. Yeah, good question. Is from their website, based on what I saw, it says here, here, the features. It's no need to install Git, no complicated cloud provider setup or registration. Here, no need to remove old ones, no setup of applications, URLs stay around forever. And it does Node apps too. So next semester you're going to do Node apps, so it can do Node apps as well. All right. So new stuff, ESLint. So what I'm going to teach you right now is tooling that surrounds the JavaScript ecosystem. Who here has heard of ESLint? Okay. So and I noticed some of you when I've marked your stuff, some of you are getting docked for marks because of typos here and there. ESLint will help you. So ESLint will catch your errors and let you know about it so you can fix it, or it'll fix it itself. So let me show you. Show you this website. So I have a link here to eslint.org. Okay. So here is ESLint's website, and all the JavaScript professional developers, they use ESLint to help code. And just as an introduction to what this is, I want you to click on demo for a second. Up here where it says demo, and click on this ESLint demo right there. Okay, so what you'll see is this empty box, or maybe there's something in there already, I don't know. And this is how it helps you catch errors. So if I say, actually before I say anything, click on this rules configuration right here. And make sure this ECMA version drop-down menu is set to number 6. Yes, 6. That's what we want. Okay. Now, notice right now everything's lint-free, everything's good. But as soon as I type code, it's going to complain. So var a equals hi. Look at all those errors again. Okay. It's saying, for example, rule number 1, unexpected var. Don't use var anymore, use let or const instead. That's from the no var rule. Let's check out this no var rule. Let me click on this no var rule to read more about it. So here is a rule that ESLint provided that says don't use this instead. So here, for example, is var. And then they said, oh, here it is, under examples. Examples of incorrect code for this rule, like this, var. Examples of correct code for this rule, like this, let or const. So if I change, let's try to fix that. Let's say instead of var, let's try let. There, that error goes away. Right? The error goes away when I change the var to let. That one error goes away. Now I still have many more errors, but you get the point. This is how ESLint helps you code better JavaScript. Okay, so for example here, 1.5, identifier name A is too short. Well, let's read more about this ID length rule. So if I click on that, it'll say, some of the options, rules, and the philosophy behind why that rule exists. Okay. So I shouldn't have A, I should have something longer like Apple, for example. And now that error is gone. Okay, now the next rule, Apple is assigned a value but never used. Oh, I should actually use Apple, right? I've never actually used it. So if I say console log Apple, that should eliminate that error, right? Oh, I have more errors, kind of thing. So this is the kind of thing ESLint does. It will tell you everything that is wrong with your code, and you have to try to judge for yourself whether or not that's really a worthy error or not. Okay. So to install this yeah, it's a validator. That's exactly what it is. It's a JavaScript validator. Yes. Yeah. Now, in the past, you may have heard of validators like JS Hint or others. ESLint is basically the superior one right now. So that's why everyone's using it. So let's use this and install this in our computer so that it'll help us when we're coding. So in order to do this, you need Node installed. So let's just test that we have Node installed, which we do already. We've tested that. And so if you say node-v, you should get a version number. And when you install Node, you also get something else called npm. So npm, you can say npm-v. It should also give you a version number as well. So just a word of what Node is. What is Node? Remember earlier today I said when JavaScript was invented, it was really solely invented for the browser. Like the browser was its operating system, as it were. Well, this guy came along and invented Node so that JavaScript could now be run on the server side, not just the browser side, but now just on the server. So that's what Node is. Node is another environment aside from the browser that JavaScript can run on. So Node understands JavaScript. Okay. All right. So we are going to install a local installation. So I want you to create a new folder. I'm going to use my week3 folder that I just made at the first beginning of class, and we'll just use that folder as an example. Okay. And let us go into it, which I am. I'm in week3. So once you make your folder, go into it. The next thing I'm going to say is type this, npm init-y. So this was, and press enter. So what this will do is it will create a file called package.json. So if you look at my folder now, I have a new file right here called package.json. If you take a look at that, it just looks like this here. So I said, show me what's inside package.json. It's just text in the form of an object, right? Okay. Text. Next line I want you to type is this one. So in the command prompt, you type npm install, and this is where you can either install it locally or globally. So if we go back here and click on get started, you'll notice there's two ways to install ESLint. You can try local installation or global installation. I'm going to try local installation today, but you could use global installation. Keep in mind, if you do use global installation and you type in your terminal command node-v and nothing happens, it's like it can't find it even though you just installed it, you may have to check your Windows, what's that window that has all the different paths of where all the executables are? You may have to change that. So to add the new path to wherever Node is installed. Okay, so in my terminal command prompt, I'm going to say npm I is a shortcut for install, ESLint, and then the capital D, dash capital D. All I'm doing right now is I'm doing this exact line right here. This line, I'm doing this line. npm install ESLint save dev. However, I'm using I for a shortcut for install, and I'm using hyphen capital Z for a shortcut for save dev. So enter. This is all optional. You don't have to use this, but it helps you. And it's better you know these tools now. This takes a little bit of time. Okay, it's done. What is that saying? I don't know. Okay, so what did it just do after I installed that? Let's take a look at our directory once more. You should notice a new directory called node modules. So inside this folder, if you were to go inside it, is all JavaScript files that helps you. These are all the files that ESLint needs in order to run properly. So let's just show you that. So let's look inside node modules real quick. There, see, these are all different pieces of JavaScript code that Node uses, that ESLint uses in order to work. Okay. So let's see if it works. So if I say ESLint and say hyphen version, does that do anything? Yeah, it gives me version 4.191. Do you get that? For those who are you trying? For those of you who are trying, do you get that at all? So if you say ESLint hyphen version, you get some kind of version number. Do you get that? Anyone? No? Oh. Hold on. Oh, I think I know why. Try this. Instead of ESLint version this, I think the reason is because the command ESLint right now is hidden in your node modules folder, and you have to specifically say where the executable is. So if you say go down to one directory to the node modules folder, so if you say // node modules / ESLint version, try that. Does that work? Oh, no, I get no. Oh, you know what? That's interesting. What if you were to go into your node modules folder, say cd node modules enter, so you're actually in your node modules, and then just say ESLint hyphen version. Does that work? That work? No? No? Okay. I'm not sure what's happening there. Okay, we'll try the global install then. Let's try this. npm install, what did we say before? ESLint? Oh, shoot. What did I just do? I think I confused what I wanted to do with the global installation. What did I just say? Oh, when I was typing the command, did I say -g? No. Okay. I did this one, right? Okay, I did that one. All right. Okay, so that's a local one. I'm not sure why you're not getting anything. You should then set up. Oh, you know what? Let's try this. Let's try this one here. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay. So apparently the ESLint is not inside node modules. It's inside node modules /.bin. That's why. So we're gonna do what this web page says and forget about my mistaken commands. So the next command is this. So go back to your folder and copy and run that. That work? Aha, you should get that. You should get something like that looks like this. Yes, hopefully. Yes, good. Thank you, Vivian. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to install a particular style guide. So remember how I said all of these rules that ESLint made? So who here is sort of Airbnb? Everyone, pretty much, right? So Airbnb created their own style guide using the ESLint rules that apparently every JavaScript developer is using and just modifying it somewhat. So we're going to do the same thing. So right now it's asking you 3 questions. And the one I want you to choose is the first one, use a popular style guide. So right now selected use a popular style guide, click on enter. The next options it gives you is which style guide do you want? Do you want Airbnb or Google or something? So choose Airbnb, so enter. Now it's asking you for some other things. We're not going to use React, so just say no or enter. And then the final thing is what format. We're going to choose JSON. Enter that. And now it's saying, would you like to install all of these other packages with NPM? Yes. So say yes. Now it's going to do its thing, installing a whole bunch of other packages. Now keep in mind, the way we're doing this, we're doing a local install. So what I envision for you is that each time you, from now on, when you get a lab or something, but when you're doing a new project, try this. Try creating a local install of ESLint to help you. However, you could try a global install as well. And what's happening here? Why am I getting all these errors? Error. Why? Operation not permitted. Oh, I think I know why. Does anyone get these errors, or are you okay? Yeah, you got this error? Yeah, okay. All right. I think what I'm experiencing now is because Georgian IT, they really secured my laptop, so I can't install certain things. So that's why I'm getting all these errors, unless I run it as an admin, I think is what's happening. Anyways, if yours is working, then just use that. You should, at the end of the day, you should get a new file called eslint.json. So if you look at your directory now, you should get a new hidden file that begins with a dot called .eslint.rc.json. And that's the purpose of running eslint init. So just like when we said npm init, it created a package.json. Running eslint init creates a eslint.json. Hey, yeah, Vivian. JSON. And if all of this is confusing, I do have YouTube videos that I will put on Blackboard just to run over what I'm doing now. And they're pretty short, like 2-3 minute videos. So, all right. So here's the thing. So ESLint is installed. Let's test it out to see if it works. Okay. So if I create, I'm just going to create a new file. I'll call it. Let's see here. I'll just call it index3.js. Okay. And inside my new file, I'm going to say the same thing I did before. Var a equals hi. Again, this is all optional. You don't have to use ESLint to do your stuff, but it's recommended. Now, let's use ESLint. Now, if I say ESLint right now, that's the command, and I'm going to target the file that I just said. So index3.js. So what this, if I click on enter, I expect to see the errors. In fact, I expect to see the same errors that I got last time. Oh shoot, my other extension is. Anyways, let me run this and see what happens. There. See, I'm getting the same kind of errors that I got from using their demo page, except now I don't have to depend on ESLint's web page in order to tell me what's wrong with my code. I now have it installed on my computer, and it's telling me from Visual Studio Code, or actually from the command line, what's wrong with my code. Yeah, you could run this with any code editor. It doesn't, yeah, it's not Visual Studio Code dependent. However, there's one more step after that. After this is Visual Studio Code has tons of extensions. And if we install the extension for Visual Studio Code that relates to ESLint, then we're golden. So let us look for this. So click on your extensions right here, extensions, and then search for ESLint. And then you're going to look for this one here, ESLint by Dirk. That is the one that everyone uses. Notice there's 11 million installs. This is the most popular one. So go ahead and install that. I've already installed it, so it already works. So what's happening here is as soon as you install it and reload it, because after you install it, it says reload, right? After you reload it, you'll notice this. At the bottom left corner of your editor, Visual Studio Code editor, it's now telling you the errors within Visual Studio Code. And notice it's also highlighting. It's giving you the red squiggly line. Okay? So this is a tremendous help when you're coding. It's catching all your syntax errors. It's catching all your commands that you mistyped. It's catching different things. So this is a very, very good tool. Okay? Let me just see here. Is anyone getting this? Is anyone installing this, and does it work for you? That's what I want to know. If not, again, I'm going to put the YouTube videos that I created last year up on Blackboard. Okay, now, let's say you're coding, and this is getting really annoying. Like, you don't want to see these errors. You just want to turn it off, or maybe change the errors into a warning. How do you do that? There's two simple ways. There's a temporary way, and there's a more permanent way. The temporary way is this. At the very top of your JavaScript file, you put in these multi-line comments. And then inside the multi-line comment, you just say ESLint. And after ESLint, you say the name of the rule that's annoying you, or that you want to change. So for example, here, I'm going to change this one right here, where it says A is assigned to value but never used. Well, of course it's never used because I just started to type it yet. Started typing, so I didn't use it yet. But if I find that annoying, I'll just give it this name, this rule name. So this one's called no-unused-vars. So I'm going to say no-unused-vars, colon, and after the colon, you have one of three options. Off, which is 0, 2, which is error, or 1, which is warning. So if I turn it off by typing 0, notice I have one less error, right? And I could do the same for these other rules too. If I want it just a warning, I'll just change it to 1. There. So this previous error is now just a warning. Okay. So it pays to read the rule name that ESLint provides, to just read it over yourself, saying, yeah, I think I changed my mind on that rule. I think I really need it to be an error, not just off, just to keep me on track. So the process is, after you've installed it, after you look at your errors, read the rule, decide for yourself whether or not it should be a warning or should be off or should be an error, and just configure it as you wish. Okay. This is the temporary way. This is not the permanent way. The more permanent way is this. So let me take this off for a second. Undo. Okay. The more permanent way is this. Look for your hidden ESLint RC file, or right here. So when I click on this .ESLint RC file, I have this very simple configuration. And according to ESLint webpage, it says to add a rule, you just add a new key value property to this object. You say rules, colon, and then an object. And then here is where you define the rule. So if I say, in quotes, no unused vars, close quote, turn it off, then it should say, oh, save it. There, it's gone. See, my error is gone? See? Because it's now reading the configuration from my ESLint RC file. That's the more permanent way to add a rule. And the final thing, so that's it for ESLint. That's all I want to say for ESLint. Again, I will post short 2-minute videos for ESLint on Blackboard if this is going over your head or if you're just lost. The last thing I want to install is another tool called Prettier. So here's my next slide. This is their website, prettier.io. And you may have already picked this up when in my code. So you may have noticed that when I'm coding and I typed in let a or var a equals something, as soon as I save it, Control S to save, it actually changes the word var into let already for me. And that's part of what ESLint does. What Prettier does is it indents everything so you don't have to worry about indenting. Okay, so you can not care about indenting, and Prettier will handle that for you. So to do that, you just go to your Visual Studio Code, and then install the Prettier extension. So click on Extensions again, search for Prettier. Here it is. So install that. I've already got it installed. So once you've installed and reloaded it, then you want to adjust your user settings. So to adjust your user settings within VS Code, you could say Control-Shift-P, user settings or settings in general. So I'm going to say open user settings. Now we're going to edit the configuration file up here on the right-hand side. So notice here on the right-hand side, I have a couple of things. And this is the one I want you to do. Editor.format on save is true. So as soon as you type that in and save it, then everything you type from now on in a JavaScript file will automatically be indented nicely and pretty. Notice also I have here an eslint.autofix on save is true. I'm going to leave it up to you whether or not you want that or not. There are times where it gets in the way. So maybe just leave it off for now and just rely on the problems that the VS Code tells you, and you just fix it manually. But you could try that as well. Okay, that is all I wanted to say about this tooling. 1250. Actually, one more thing. One more thing I wanted to say. What was my next slide? I think my next slide was, yes, Babel. Show of hands, who here has heard of Babel? Anyone? Okay. So all this time I've been teaching you guys the new JavaScript, the ES6 plus way. Keep in mind that older browsers like IE11 does not understand const or arrow function. So how do you take care of those older browsers if you need to? Answer Babel. So Babel is a way that translates the next generation JavaScript into the old JavaScript. So here, for example, it's using the new destructuring for ES6, and now on the right-hand side, it's giving you the old way to do it. Or here, it's using the spread operator on the left-hand. Oh, I just clicked on something, so it's gone. Let me refresh to see if I get that back. Here's using an arrow function. That's the new way, but look, here's the old way. It's using the traditional function. Here is destructuring, which we still have yet to learn about. This is the old way. Next one is using the spread operator, I think. Yeah, spread operator. Here's the old way to achieve the same thing. So Babel is a tool that you can use to translate your new JavaScript into the old way to incorporate the older browsers. I'm just mentioning that in passing. We won't touch that maybe later. Okay, and that is all I wanted to say about JS tooling. I think. Let me just see. Where did my thing go? Week 3. No. Anything else I want to say? How is it? 12:50. Break time? Yes. Feel like a break, or should I keep on going? What do you think, Umar? Keep going. Okay. So what I just taught you with the ESLint and Prettier, that's all optional. You don't have to use it for your stuff again, but it's recommended that you do, especially if you want to use the same tools that the pros use. What we're going to do now is needed for your next lab and for assignment number 1. So everyone has to do this. So go to mockaroo.com. Okay. Now, I've said in my pre-class announcement today that everyone should sign up for their own account within Mockaroo. So right now, I'm already signed up. I have my own account. So if you have not done that, just sign up right now for free. And the reason we're signing up is we can get our own custom APIs. Okay. So what I want you to do is a couple of things. So remember how when we went to api.github.com/user/your username, we got this. Remember this? What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing with Mockaroo, so that when we type in Mockaroo's website, it'll give us maybe 7 at a time or 1 at a time. And we're going to create 2. I'm going to ask you to create 2 APIs, so that'll do just that. So to create an API, you can click on here, APIs. I've already created a couple. I'm going to create a new one. So create a new mock API. Oh, okay. There's something we need to do first. Right now, we have to create a schema. Okay, so forget this. Click on this instead, schemas. Click on schemas. And then click on create a schema. Okay, so now you're seeing this screen, which you all know already. So in here, this is where you put all the fields that you need for your assignment, which is related to the email. So your assignment, by the way, will be related to this email one. Okay. So again, just like this morning, pick all the relevant fields, like the name, the subject, the body, the avatar, the date. Pick all that and put it here. For the sake of time, let's pretend I did that. I want 7 emails. So I'm just going to put 7 here. I want JSON, and I want to save this schema. So before I said preview, right, to copy and paste, I don't want to copy and paste anymore. I want to do this programmatically. So I'm going to save the schema so that, oh, it's giving me the chance for an email. So I'm just going to say, I already used emails as a name, so I'll need something different. Entries. Entries. Okay, call it entries. Entries. There. So now if I click on schema again, or schema's nav, I should have entries there. Okay. Notice if I click on entries now within here, it gives me a on here. It gives me this share link right here. Share link. So let's see what happens if I click on this share link. Open. Oh, shoot. That's not what I wanted. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Maybe it was this one. Oh, I think it was this one. Ah. No, that's not what I wanted either. How do I get the thing? Oh, right, that's the purpose of the APIs. Never mind. Okay. So now if I go to APIs, sorry, I was lost there for a second. So now if I go to APIs, now that I created a schema, I can now go to APIs, click on create a new mock API. And then here you have your choice to say what file or path you want. Okay, so I'm going to say entries.json. And then here under schema, I'm going to put my entries instead of users. And for generate, I'm going to say generate 7, even though I thought I said 7 before, but I'm going to say 7 again. And now here's the link. Here's the link I was looking for. Try in browser this link. Okay, open a new tab. Shoot, what am I missing? Did I save this? Oh, create. Oh yeah, create API. There. API created. Now if I try this, will it work? Please. Open a new tab. Yes. So think of it. Instead of copying and pasting the data like we did in Lab 1, now you can just go to this URL just like you went to GitHub's API to get your user data. You can just use this URL, and it gives you all of this JSON data. So these are all random emails that you can get. So the question is, how do we use that URL in JavaScript to get the data? And that is the purpose of the command called fetch. So let me just see what I have in my slides. Right, yeah, this one here. Let me just briefly introduce fetch right here before we take a 10-minute break. So here's MDN's webpage on fetch. And the way to think of it is the fetch API provides a new interface for JSON data that's very similar to XML HTTP requests. So show of hands, who have used this XML HTTP request in the past? Anytime in the past? Oh, just one? Okay, so this was the old method to grab JSON data. The new method is called fetch. Okay, so the way to do it, let me just quickly do this before a break. Is there an example here? There's no example. I'll show you the example in a second. Okay, so we'll just take a quick 10-minute break before we get into the in-class exercise. And actually, before we take a 10-minute break, I'm going to show you one thing here. I'm going to show you a preview of the assignment. I haven't finalized this yet, but here's your preview. You open this up. I put it on GitHub. And it's to use the webmail. So you're using this template, okay? And you'll have to create the 2 APIs that we just did. Well, we just did 1 API, but you could use, 2 or whatever. All I want is the API. One API has to send 7. Another API has to send 1. Okay. And I think there's a way to just use the same API. You just have to modify the parameters, but whatever. And so what's going to happen is when you first open this up, 7 emails will show right away because it used the fetch command to get the custom API from week3 that we just created. And now it's displaying here. So no longer do we have to statically copy and paste the array of objects in our code. We just fetch it dynamically when the page loads. Great. Next thing is clicking an email in the inbox will display it on the right side and also add a visual indicator to make it look selected. Clicking on the compose button will open up a form where you can type in, the body, subject line, and that. And when you click on send, it's sort of like you're emailing yourself. It'll just appear in the inbox with your GitHub avatar and whatever you just typed in the subject and the body. Clicking the delete button will remove the email from the inbox. And if you click on the trash, right? So if you're in inbox, you click on this one. We'll change this button to a delete button. So when you click it, this is gone from inbox. And if you click on trash, this will only appear in the trash. If you click on inbox, then we get the rest of the thing back. So you're basically creating your own Outlook client. Okay. Web-based. What else do I say here? I'm going to teach you later in another class something called local storage, so that it stores the current state of objects, so that if you happen to delete something and click on a refresh, you're actually not refreshing from the start. You're actually going to pull what you had before. So it'll still have this missing because you stored it in local storage. It'll read local storage. It'll use local storage instead of refreshing completely. Okay. Yeah. So that's basically it. And also keep in mind, I'm changing the way I'm teaching this class compared to last year. I'm trying to help you out as much as possible with the labs. Last year, I did not do a good job in teaching assignment number 1. This year, what I've decided to do is I'm helping you out because I've decided to make every lab a small part of the assignment. So if you do the labs, you're doing the assignment. Okay, so because once assignment 1 comes up, you just have to put all your labs together and you're done, you're golden. Okay, so take a 10-minute break and we'll come back. Not very much. I might add like bonus mark audio API, add that, or yeah,
That's okay.
That's fine. Yeah. Because what happened was last year I actually did instead of people data, I used this data. Watch, check this out. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Internet Archive docs. Heard of this?
I have not.
So, oh wait, that's not it, but it's very similar to that. Maybe it's PCs. Yeah, pretty much, something like this. And you could actually play these games like online. You could click on one of these, and here, as soon as you click on play, it'll actually load the game.
Mm-hmm.
So in the last year, what I did was I made people use the email template, but use data using this web page so that they can actually, instead of emails of people, it's emails of games. Cool. And then you click on the email and you can play the game after. Nice. But yeah, so that's why I said preview, because maybe there's some wording there. Because it was only this morning that I changed all the words from games to people or emails. Yeah. So there might be but you can start it tonight. You can be confident that I won't change it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like it looks fun. So
Yeah.
I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. At seeing this mock data stuff, I did some cool stuff yesterday at work. So basically, one of the problems with our product is we only have 3 developers working on it,
Yeah.
and we have like a lot of pressure for new features, right? So we don't have that much time to test it, right? And we do as much testing as we can.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't have it in like automated test suites or anything. So I was like, I went to my team leader. I'm like, hey, like, do you mind? Like, I'm building a new module right now. I'm like, would you mind if I like basically create like a proof of concept for some like integration testing, right?
Yeah.
He's like, okay, sure. Like, you have the day to do that. So I found this library for C# called Bogus.
Oh.
And what you can do is you can actually set, so you create what's called a faker class,
Okay.
and then you set rules. So for mine, it was creating what's called like a portal audit, which is a custom class I made, right? And I can set rules like make this field a random GUID, make this field a random GUID. For this one, pick one of the enumerations, like, and then it's currently cool. What you can do is you can call a function called generate forever, and it's a yield function, so it's memory efficient, and you can actually it'll only create fake records as you enumerate through it. But if you put the seed value in, it's repeatable. So then you can test versus it. So I basically used that, and then I was like basically doing type of unit tests with this bogus data. It was like so easy to use, like, and it saved you a lot of time because you can test like really like I can like create 10 records, put them in the database, all bogus data, like 1 or 2 lines, and then compare those records. Like it's so much. I don't know. I really thought that was cool. Just this whole like setting the rules for your bogus data. I like that.
That's cool. Well, I'm hoping to. Last year when I had this course, before the strike happened, I did have a section on testing JS, but after the strike happened, I couldn't show it, or I just mentioned it in passing very briefly. And I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'll just put testing as one of those presentation topics. See if anyone picks it up. But
I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love like automating things. Like, that's one of probably my favorite thing about programming is when you can automate something.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, so I thought that was cool. And like, basically our product, we're using Sitefinity, which is this content management system developed by I think they're from Bulgaria. And they sold it to Progress. So you might have heard of Progress. They have like Kendo UI, like, all this stuff. Basically, so they use some really outdated stuff, and Sitefinity, but the problem is the whole site is built on it. So, and because we're developing for Sitefinity, we have to use these older things too. And Sitefinity, they have created their own helper functions and classes and all that they've since they use it across their site, but then they also say it's obsolete, which it's not, because they use it everywhere. So that there's no documentation for it. So you basically just have to go under the hood and try to figure it out. And so I ended up, like for the integration testing, I'm like, well, I basically need to do it on a site that's live. I'm going to test their open access stuff. So what I did was I found this test runner they have. It's like called Sitefinity Web Test Runner. It's been obsolete for forever. And I like had to like actually in my NuGet packages manager, I had to like go to the Sitefinity's like NuGet package repository and everything. Really obscure, hard to find it. Like only 1,600 downloads in total since it's been out. And then trying to figure out how to use this thing. I actually managed to do it one day. I'm like, yes, it actually is really nice. It's a really good program. Like, the user interface is really nice. Shows all your tests. You can group them and everything. But I don't know. It's kind of cool when you like go right under the hood and you end up actually figuring it out. You're like, when there's no documentation for it. I don't know. It's pretty sweet.
Hey,
not a quick question. I don't know if it's a quick question or not, but you guys might know. You may know this. When I was adding the arrays to the the hero array to the DOM, it kept on replicating my event list, like the quick listener. So what happened is
multiple times, like 2 then 4 then 6.
Yes, I couldn't figure out. I mean, I spent hours trying to develop it, but I think the simple solution was there's like a third option on add event listener. It says what's, I think,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think.
but you'll see, like, there's a bug on all that. I was
I'm
hoping.
sure it's probably the placement. I think what we may have done is you may have, wherever you put your code for out of that listener for the class, that may have been outside the inner HTML stuff. So what should have happened was when you did the inner HTML code, it's right the line, the next line right after the inner HTML should have been the button add event. And I have a feeling that you place your button code somewhere else. I think that may have affected it. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I've seen that error before, and I've seen how many placements of that. It has to make sure that that's placed right after the inner HTML next line within the same function.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way I can just make it listen to it once, and then just like.
Well, I'm gonna once we come back from break, I'm gonna actually do that, but using the refetch stuff.
Okay.
So I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna use new stuff plus redo lab 2 several notes.
Yeah, speaking of the rest of the questions here on today, and we're on like slide like 8 or 9 or something like that. Do you think we'd be able to get the lecture slide?
Say it again?
We're like on like. Do you think we'd be able to get through the material today? We're like.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like
I may not have enough time, is what you're saying.
Is that we have enough
Time.
information to do work on the assignment or lab, whatever you have today.
Yes, I think so because
Okay.
I'm just going to cover this I'm going to cover this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the next slide. I'm going to cover fetch. Skip this for the next class, maybe. Skip this for the next class, and then go right to the class.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes you usually post videos on too. You
Oh, I see what you're saying.
instructional videos or something like that.
I showed the output, the final output of lab 2, what it should look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that helps too.
Yeah,
when you do
for
things
sure.
like that.
Now, I didn't do it for this one, but maybe I will tonight. Okay. So maybe in Blackboard I'll say, look out for a new clip that I'll make, a new video I'll make, and I'll post it tonight of what it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Or just doesn't really have to be a video, whatever's easier for you.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. It's just that, again, full-time job, family life, work life. This is just one course I teach, and honestly speaking, I had no time to record.
I wouldn't be able to do what you could do.
I had no time to record.
I'm working right now too,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh yeah, no way.
And that's why in my
I couldn't do what you do, like I said.
in my weekly
I mean, you were different, so.
here week 3, like this is bare, like compared to last week, this was like full of steps, and now it's like bare minimum because I had no time to even type what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll try to do the video tonight and put it up.
As long as in the end of the day, as long as we have like some sort of guidance in terms of like
What it should look like. Yeah, you're right.
Like, text and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're back. So, let me. Okay. So the first thing I want to mention is before we get this to fetch, I want to just quickly mention 2 new methods, or maybe it's old methods. Maybe you've heard of these already. Set timeout, set interval. Show of hands who have ever used set timeout, set interval. Yeah, okay, great. So it's real simple. So what happens is, and I think I did this in the first class. So here's set timeout definition. What you can do with set timeout is you can say something like after 1,000 milliseconds, so after 1 second, then run whatever is in my function, kind of thing. Run that. Here's an example. So after 1 second, then, okay, hold on. This is not a good example. Let me see here. Okay, I guess this is a good example. So here, set timeout. After 1 second, run this function. That's what it does. And you could define whatever you want here. Okay. So let me see if I could do that directly on the console right now. So if I just copy and paste this, okay, into the console, paste, except I don't have a function called my method, so I'll just make a function right now. Okay, so I'll say function, anonymous function, we'll say console log hi. There is my function. So as soon as I click on enter, after 1 second, maybe I'll make it 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, just to make it more obvious, it will run whatever's in my function. Here we go, enter. There. After 2 seconds, it ran console log hi. Okay. Simple. If I use the other one, interval, what's going to happen is every 2 seconds, it's going to run whatever's in my function. So as soon as I click on enter, after 2 seconds, I should see hi. After another 2 seconds, I should see hi again, etc. Enter, hi, 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 and it just keeps on going forever. Okay. So that's all I wanted to briefly mention about that. Yes, you'll need that for your assignment. Let me go back to my slides. I'm going to skip this slide. I'll leave this slide for next week. I'll leave this slide for next week, and we'll get right into the fetch. Okay, so fetch again works like this. Oh, they don't have the example. Using fetch. How's that? Using fetch. There we go. So notice, this is how we use fetch. You just say fetch, and then inside the parameter, you put as a string the URL that contains the JSON. So let's try this. Let's actually, in our console, let's try this command. Okay, so let's say fetch, bracket, inside there. Let's use something that we already know. Let's use our api.github.com/users/whatever. Right, so there's the JSON data. I'm going to get that programmatically now instead of copying and pasting. So let's do that. So inside fetch, I put in that URL, which is going to eventually give me the JSON. Okay. Shift enter, space, dot then. That's something new, dot then. Then we have a callback function. And I'm just copying verbatim what they have on the MDM website. Then function JSON, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it data. How's that? And we'll JSON.stringify. Actually, no, we won't do that. We'll just console log data. There. So this is my code. Let's see what happens if I click on enter. Enter. Oh, that's something new on the Chrome console. Do you see this? When you tried it on yours? Have you tried it? For those of you who tried it, do you see this? See some kind of data? Oh, yes, no, yes. I need at least one hand. Yes, okay, great. Okay. So notice what just happened. A couple of things have happened here. Programmatically speaking, we copied and pasted the JSON code without actually copying and pasting the JSON code, right? So the fetch, what that actually does is it runs, it actually fetches, just like if you were to type on a browser google.com, what you're really doing is you're fetching google.com's pages. Same thing here, you're fetching JSON data from somewhere else, and it comes behind the scenes, right? Your web page doesn't refresh like it normally would. Behind behind the scenes, it grabs that data, and now you can do something with the data, right? So here's the data, right? If I open this up, arrow, you'll see all my GitHub data, just like before, right? That's exactly what I copied and pasted before, but now we're not copying and pasting because we can do it programmatically speaking, which means we can now assign that data to a variable and now use that variable, just like we did before, right? Before we had the variable equals, const profile equals array or object of my data. Now we can do that here. So if you wanted to do that, let's say we had let's pretend now you need a global variable of some sort. So let's say we had a global variable. Was there a question, by the way, Vivian? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the then in a future class. When fetch was made, it was using a new ES6 concept called promise. This is a new data structure in JavaScript. And again, I'll talk more about this in a future class. The promise was invented in JavaScript to try to make your life as a programmer easier so that you don't have to deal with callback functions. So this, for example, is a callback function, right? Where you have a function inside a parameter, and new beginners in JavaScript, they hate that. They don't understand that. So the promise was invented with the .thens to try to alleviate that. So you don't have to worry about the callback functions. You just have to think of the .thens, which is more a natural way of thinking. So let me show you again. Where's my fetch command? Where'd it go? There it is. So here, it's a more natural way to think in terms of synchronous fashion to think of this. Okay, after it gets the data from GitHub, then it'll do this. After it does that, then it'll do that. If this was not invented, you would have seen code that looks something like. Let me see. Just give me that. Okay. You would have seen code that looks something like. Something like the old-fashioned callback method. So I'm just going to guess here, but something like, okay, blah, 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 dot, JSON, whatever. Then within that, you have your function callback, which has a response. Then within that, you have another function callback of data. You can then run, which you can then console. This is called callback hell. If you just Google callback hell in JavaScript, you will see tons of examples of here. So you got tons of, you'll know it's callback hell because you're indenting so much. And so that's why promises were invented, to help you get rid of that somewhat, not totally. And just a future class, I'm going to show you something called async await, which actually is a better way to use promises so that it's more natural thinking. And let me just say, in quick fashion, here's async, here's await. If you want to check that out, you can actually use this instead of promises, which I'll do in a future class. And it's a much better way. It's almost like PHP. So it's almost like you're writing PHP. It's like synchronous instead of asynchronous. Behind the scenes, it's still asynchronous. Still using callbacks, but you don't see it anymore. Anyways, okay, so we did that. That is how to use fetch. What I'm going to do now is going to do lab 2, redo lab 2. So I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. For those of you who didn't handle lab 2, now you can see how lab 2 is done one way at least. And also I'm going to use the fetch command, okay? So the fetch command, so instead of using my const profile equals blah, whatever I copy and paste, I'll just say const profile equals whatever I got from my fetch. Okay, so let's do that. So what did I say in lab 2? I forgot my lab 2. What did I do? Week 2, instructions. Yes.
So, these are in class.
Oh, yes.
So if you,
Yes. So what's different about today's so this, we're going to do today's in-class exercise 3, which consists of lab 2, but using the fetch. Okay, so yeah, so I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone here. Just a very minor adjustment. Yeah, it's not as challenging as lab 2 was. Okay, so here is lab 2. I'm going to start from scratch. Should I do this on CodePen or should I just do this on regular VS Code? Yeah, we'll do it on VS Code. All right, so let's start from the beginning. Let's close up everything here. Week 3. Maybe I'll make a new folder called in class 3. In class 3 folder. Great. Create a new file. Call it index.html. Wonderful. Inside my, I'll put shift exclamation mark tab, which gives me, actually, I don't even have to do that. I just have to copy the tachyons one, right? Okay, so let me go to the tachyons to get the HTML code. There it is. So here's the tachyons stuff. I'm going to copy all of that. You'll see the copy. I'll put it in my body. Oh, so I did my skeleton after all. So I just pasted it. Let's see what it looks like so far. Open. Oh, I don't want that. I want. How come? Week 3. No, where did I shoot? Desktop. Week 3 in class 3. There. So this is what I did so far. I just copied and pasted the HTML. Obviously, the CSS I have to include, so let's include that now. So let's go to, where did it go? Tachyons. There it is. So I could just include this CSS here, but I just want to include the whole thing. So let me just go to the home page of Tachyons and copy this. So link getting started. Here it is. So there's the CSS file. So if I include that, copy that, go into my Visual Studio Code and paste it in up the top in the head section. Paste, save. That means if I were to refresh, I should be able to see the nice looking refresh there. So I have exactly what Tachyons has. I don't need Tachyons anymore. Thank you. Let us, what was the next thing I had to do? Right, so I have here 2 objects or 2 arrays. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to put it in my JavaScript file, which I still have yet to link. So let's create a new JavaScript file in my in-class folder. We'll call it scripts folder. Inside scripts folder, we'll make a new index.js file. Now I'll paste in my objects. That's great. Let me console log one of those just to make sure it's working. Save. Notice how when I click on save, because I have prettier, it automatically formatted my object to be nice and pretty. Let's connect that to my HTML page. So again, best practices is put your scripts at the bottom just before the end of the body tag. So let's put script, :source, tab, put my path, save. OK, so that should work. Let's check it out. So if I go to my console, Control-Shift-J, here's my console. If I say refresh, it should console log one of those heroes. There it is. Here's my heroes. There it is. That's my data. Great. Okay, next, what do I want to do? Insert a button that will add an additional hero to the view. I'm going to add a button statically. So I'm going to make sure the button is outside my encapsulated stuff. So I'm going to put the button right here. OK, we'll call it add one hero. I forget the classes to go with that. Oh, well, it'll just be a very plain button. That's fine. There it is, add one hero button. Great. Next, what did I have to do? Insert button that will add an additional hero to the view. Give console. Right. OK, so first of all, I need to display the heroes before I add the button. So let's display all of these. heroes from my array. So that means I have to get rid of the HTML to get rid of all of this. I just want to leave with one, so I have something to work with. So let me delete all of the other articles. Article, gone. We're just left with one. There, save. Am I left with one? Good. So now I can use that as a template for later. So actually, I can just copy that whole thing, cut it out, right? I just have the main tag, save. So I got nothing. But in my index.js, I can do something with that. So let me just quickly paste that in so I don't lose it. Paste. I know it's not proper yet. That's OK. So what I want to do is I want to paste one of these for each of my heroes. So how do I do that? Let's look at our first array, heroes. So I want to display, what I want to do is I want to display each of these 3 heroes. And I have all of their avatars and info. So I just want to display that on the page. How do you do that? OK, well, I want to map it. How do I map? What's the name? It's called heroes.map. Okay. Let's just quickly, this is where I'm going to need your help, because I can't do this on the fly right now. X, let me just console log X for a second. And save that, and let me comment out this. OK, so let's see what happens if I refresh. Did it do anything? Hold on, refresh, Control L, refresh. Didn't do anything because, oops, sorry, console log X. Forgot that. Let's try that again. Refresh, there. So I'm getting all 3 objects in the console. That means I can somehow, I need to create a markup, the HTML markup in the form of a string, and then add it to the main thing. So at the end of my map code, I'm going to have an array of different strings that has the markup in each of them. And then at the end of that map method, I have to join all of those strings in the array to create one big string. And then once I have the one big string, I want to add that through inner HTML to the main thing, main element, and that should be good. Okay, that's what I want to do. So what I want to do first is create a string of markup for this stuff. So let me uncomment this for now. I'm going to cut it out, and let's see what happens. I'm just going to do step by step. What happens if I just do backtick, and my hope is when I do this step by step, hopefully you'll understand what's happening in the background, right? And what am I doing here? Why is it backticking? Oh, that's forget that. Oh shoot, this is where my ESLint line break style. Get line break style. This is where it backfires, I find. Line break style. I turn it off. And let's try that again. So this is returning a string. Why do I have a comma there? I don't know why. Save. Get rid of that rule. See, this is where the line breaks. Oh, I thought I turned it off. Line break style. Comma. Hold on. Shoot. ESLint comma rule. Comma dangle. Yeah, turn that off. Comma dangle. That's what I want. Save. I don't want that comma, which is, oh, there we go. It's gone. Save. Perfect. Okay. So this is returning a big string right now, and I'm not even joining it. I just want to see what happens. It's going. Actually, this is not going to do anything because I need to assign this string somewhere. So I'm going to say const snippet. We'll just say, I'll say HTML snippet just to be more equals this. So inside HTML snippet will be an array of different strings, and let's console log that HTML snippet just to see. I'm curious. Let's see what happens. Refresh there. So in the console, you'll see it had three an array of 3 elements, and each element, as you can see, is one large string. Here's the article class and everything. So that means I now have, if I were to join all these strings together into one large string and inner HTML all that into the main encapsulated tag, I should see something on the page. So what is my main tag here? It is main class. So I'm going to target main. Let's just target main, and let's say this. Const main equals document query selector main. So now that I got main, let's do something with main. Main.inner HTML equals HTML snippet. So now if I run it, I should see the markup on my page of all 3 article tags, at least. I do. Good. So we're almost there. We just have to fill in the data. So where does the data go? Well, it goes here, image source. So I have to replace that with my stuff. I have to replace what else? I have to replace this young Gatchel, so I have to replace 3 things. So let's go into that. So here is the first one. Where's Pretender? Pretender, what do I put in here? Backticks, wonderful. What do I put in here? Oh, yeah, sorry? Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you. In this case, I already have the backticks here. I don't need to. It'll be there. So now here's a good question. Now, how do I get each individual hero if it's because it's an array, right? I can't just say heroes dot name anymore because it's an array. So how do I access that individual element? Answer. What do you think, Pretender? Here. So after the map, we want the element, the actual element, plus the index, and then, shoot, is my syntax wrong? I think it's wrong. I'm missing something. Closing bracket, you mean, right? Closing bracket? Shoot, I forget. After the map? I don't think so. I want my map to look like this, except with an I in there. All right, let me just copy that. So I want this dot map with my, oh, right, yeah. Yeah, no, I had that right. All right, so X is so let's say this is my element, and then index. Why is element like that? Yes. I need the brackets, arrow function, and then I'm going to do something. So now that I have access to each individual hero, which this represents, I can say el.name or whatever it was. What is it? Pick, I think it was, right? Pick, and then this one can be el. Actually, I don't need the index at all, do I? Was it name? I forget. And then where's the other one here? One would be el.twitter, something like that, with the @ sign in front of it. Around source. Thank you. Perfect. Double quotes around source. Keep that. Let's see if that does anything. Let's go back to our refresh. Aha. I'm getting, oh, one too many @ signs there. Let me just delete that one. Okay. That's the first half of the battle. Just get it displayed on the page. Got it displayed on the page. What's next? What time is it? 1:40. Make the follow button change. Blah, 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 right? Okay, so let's get that button working here. What's 138? I really want to get the fetch in. Okay, leave the button for now. Let's get the fetch in. So instead of this constant array, I want to take this out completely and use fetch command. Okay, so notice here I just said heroes with nothing. Okay, so let's say the first thing that my JavaScript code will do before it even puts anything on the web page, let's get or fetch JSON data and assign it to our variable heroes. Okay, so how do we do that? Fetch, what's our URL? Let's use our Makaru one, which was, oh shoot, but then, okay. Schema, let me do this real quick. Create schema. I just want a name, which I have. I want a Twitter. This will be my Twitter, let's pretend. And the avatar, which will make this one avatar. Right, avatar. Okay, everything else, I don't need this one. That's okay. I just need, save it as three for now. Save the schema, and then let's call it heroes. Okay. Then now I go to APIs, create my new API. We'll call it heroes. Call it heroes. Give me 3. Save that there. So now this is my new API. Copy. Let's test that out. Great. I got my JSON. So if I use that same exact URL, go back to my code, fetch that, and do all the rest of it. Dot then, what was it now? Function response. And then I have to return that same response.json. Let's say .then again function data. And I'll now assign heroes my data. Let's see. Oh shoot. Hold on. Go back to my schemas. Heroes. I want to edit my heroes for one quick second. We'll just call this name. We'll call this pic. We'll call this Twitter. Save. Oh, create. Save changes. Yes. So that means if I go to my API now, do the field names change? Name, Twitter, pic. Yes, good. So that means if I go back to this page, where'd it go? There. If I refresh. Wait. Yes. If I refresh. Okay. Almost there. Let me see. What am I forgetting something here? Let me console log this first. Console log response. I want to see that. Does it do that at least? Oh, okay. I know what's happening. I'm going to take all of my code that I wrote so far here, const on forward, put it out, and put it after here. I'll explain this next class, which involves my Tim Hortons analogy. I think that should work. Refresh, please. Okay. It's clear. Const HTML snippet equals heroes map. Const heroes. Return. Okay, let's console log some of this stuff. Let's say console log. I want to see if I got the data. Did I get the data if I refresh? Oh, shoot. I need let, don't I? Okay. And it's 142. Perfect. Okay, so what's the other thing? So notice here, I got the random data from my API from Makaru, and it's now displaying because I'm using map. I just have to add the button of the thing, and that should be all good to go. So let me do that real quick. So after my inner HTML stuff, which is right here, I'm going to say const buttons equals document.query selector all. Give me all the buttons. Buttons. Okay, let me just console log my buttons just to make sure I got it all. Do I have any other console logs here that I can get rid of? Yes, get rid of that one. Control Shift. Okay, so now if I refresh, I should see a node list of all my buttons. I should have, how many do I have here? 0. Did I do that wrong? Wait. Right click, inspect, button. How come it's not getting all the buttons? Am I getting all the buttons? Am I spelling something wrong? Okay, first of all, I need the array. I need the dot, dot, dot. Okay, console log buttons. Let's see if I get an array of buttons. I should get something. Refresh, button. How come it's a 0? What's up with that? Am I spelling something wrong? Why is it there? Document is not, that's okay. Buttons. What is happening here? What is happening here? Oh, shoot. I think I know. This should go inside here. Please, does that work? No? Maybe not. Undo, undo. So why am I not getting all the buttons after here's the button. After, oh, shoot. Dang. Reverse that. Reverse. So now that I enter HTML into that, and now that the buttons are there, now I can grab the buttons, I'm hoping. Yeah, see, there it is. I got all the buttons. Perfect. Okay. Oh, wait, how come I have 4? I should have only 3. Oh, because I added a button here, right? So I don't want that. I just want yeah, let's let main button. Can I do that? Do that? 3, perfect, 3. Now I can add an event listener on all of that, right? So we can say, what time is it? 1:45, good. Buttons.map, and for each button, we want to do something. We want to say add event listener, click, and just for now, we'll just console log, clicked button. There we go. And then let's see if it works. Wait, how come it's saying unexpected token? I'm not sure. Anyways, refresh. Let's see. Oh, that's why. Okay. So what am I saying wrong here? Oh, right. Dang. Let's say function. Use an arrow function there, but I won't. Try it again. Refresh. So if I click on, let's clear the console for a second. Control L. So if I click on follow, click button. Click follow again. Click button. Wonderful. How do I make it so that each button knows each individual hero? I can say console log Spider-Man followed or whoever followed. This is where I can add the data dash attribute. So somewhere in here, maybe in the button itself, I can just add my own attribute called data dash, right? Data dash whatever you want, and then make that equal to my index, which I declared up here. That's saved. And refresh, you should see, where's my thing here? Refresh. If I inspect my button, you should see a new data dash attribute right there. Data dash whatever equals 0 for the first button. Let's inspect the second one. Data dash whatever equals 1 for the second one. So now I have an index which I can use in my heroes, right? So I can say console log. And how do I access that? I say this dot data set dot whatever. And then we just console log that. Let's see what happens. Refresh. Console. Clear the console. Follow. Oh, crap. Console log. What am I missing? What am I missing? Oh, right, because I'm using an arrow function. Dang. I don't want the arrow function to be lost. You know what? This is where I'm going to take off my auto fix on save for ESLint because you're bugging me. And let's try that again. Function. Try that. What happened? Why is it all red now? I don't know. Let's refresh it. Let's click on there. 1, 0, 2. Great. I don't know why it's all red. I'll figure that out later. So which means I can say console log backticks you clicked on or following, and then we'll say template literal heroes this dot data set dot whatever, which is the index, right? Dot name. For that. Save, refresh the console, Control L. You click on Blake. I guess Blake is the name somewhere. I don't know. You clicked on Raynell. You clicked on Chance. Okay, so it's working. So that's how you add the button click. In terms of adding one more hero to the array, I could have just said here, you know, you could say push, right? I could push a new element onto the array. So I could say heroes.push, and I'll pop off one from the stack, more heroes. So I could say something like this. I could say heroes.add to it the next guy, which is, I think, pop. Something like that. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see if that works. So, oh, wait. I'm adding to the wrong button. Am I not? Oh, shoot. I'm adding to the wrong button. This should have been with this button, not with this button. So my mistake. But it's 150. I don't want to take over your time. But that is generally how you do lab 2. Hopefully, you understood. Show of hands. You understand now better than last week. Okay. At least I got this on video, so it should help you for your assignment number 1 and for your lab tonight. So for your lab tonight, all you have to do is go back to the email, and I'll write this up because I didn't have a chance to write this up. I was too busy. You're going to do the same thing, exact same thing with the email template. So you're going to display a bunch of things right away using your API and fetch. So as soon as the web page loads, boom, I see all of the results from your fetch command. Yes, thank you. Wait. I didn't do it very well, so I'm debating whether I should. Yes, I'm going to say yes. Up. I just want the map. I just want you guys to get the map. Forget the button clicks, which I kind of screwed up. Just to get the map. So for the in-class exercise tonight, which is due to tonight, look at the video that I did. Just get the map working so you can display the data that you fetched. That's all I'm looking for right now. Okay? And you'll get your 2%. As long as you can do that, I'm happy. Fetch and map. Yeah, yeah. So fetch your data using your Macro API, and then map it out so it's displayed on the web page, so that your web page will show all the emails that you got from fetch. The lab. Yes. I'm confusing myself now. Yeah, so the lab, okay, shoot. The lab is this. The lab is this email one. So that means the in-class exercise was the Twitter one. The lab is the email one. Both are doing the same exact thing. So for the in-class exercise, resubmit lab 2. I just care about map and fetch. That's it. Okay, forget the button clicks. For the lab, it's the same thing here. Display a bunch of emails that you got from the API and just map it out. Forget the button clicks. That's all. That's all. Okay. As long as you can get that map, I'm happy. You'll be set. You'll at least pass the exam, midterm exam, if you can get the map.
Do an announcement. Just kind of clarify.
I will do an announcement because I didn't have time to write anything up in the past week. But that's exactly what I want. Hopefully that's clear. And if not, I'll write it up. Yes, Andre, good. We're good. Okay. So.
I have a question. So
okay. The end.
Lab 2 for last week, I totally mucked up.
Okay.
And I forgot to submit my link to Blackboard.
Okay.
But I invited you.
Okay.
3 days
Perfect.
ago
Yeah.
to GitHub.
Perfect. Yeah. I haven't checked lab 2 at all.
If I put, like, because I have my computer dual booted, so for like your class, I boot up Linux, but I did my homework work for the lab 2 on my Windows.
Yeah.
So my Azure link is easier to grab from Windows.
Okay.
I actually might know it, but if I like put a submission to Blackboard, like I sent you the GitHub link,
Yeah.
is that enough?
Yeah.
Because you won't have my Azure link at that point, because that's where you'll see it live, right?
Yeah. I need both GitHub and your Azure.
If I do pages with GitHub and then send you the GitHub link,
Yes,
would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then, because that way I could get it to you quicker, because I head here to work till 10.
Okay. Okay.
And then I have an appointment
Yeah.
early in the morning with the dentist, so I
Yeah.
pretty well go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
Is that okay though?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll just leave notes.
Because
in
your
there.
GitHub pages should take me to your GitHub repository in the URL somewhere. Like it's kind of embedded, isn't it? I forget.
Yeah, I'll have my, because I invited you to my GitHub, which will show you my work.
Yes.
But then GitHub pages will show you it live, so you can click the buttons.
Right. So are those are two separate URLs, right? So give me both
Yeah, I'll
separate
give you
URLs.
both of those.
Perfect.
But my Azure link,
Forget it.
I'll forget. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, because I say Azure or other. I don't care where
Well, I
it is.
had it
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
Azure, but then I don't know how I forgot. I totally thought I got a submission
Oh,
email from
yeah.
Blackboard too, and I just looked through my email and I couldn't find it. And I thought maybe because of the way you're restructuring the weekly learning, it cleared it out or something. So I asked Andre to look, and
Yeah.
it's still there.
Yeah.
So I must have forgotten to submit it.
Okay. Okay.
That's okay though.
That's okay. Yeah, as long as I get the GitHub and whatever hosted URL, that's fine.
Okay, and you'll see the date on it was within
Okay.
the last
Perfect. Yeah.
updated date was 3 days ago before Sunday night.
Cool. Cool.
Okay, thank you.
Hey.
So